Hi, I'm Dave Crowder, and I'm a flipper. I'm hoping that after you see this video that you'd like to be a flipper too.
First, a little history. I grew up going to school where the most advanced form of teaching materials were chalkboards and mimeograph fill-in-the-blank handouts with purple letters. The photocopier was invented the year before I was born, so at least another decade passed before it showed up in schools. The space race had just started, so transistors were just beginning to replace the old vacuum bulbs, and integrated circuits didn't really become a workhorse until the late 60s. So chalk dust, lectures, and film strips were all that we had back then. In 1987, I took a speech class at CU Boulder with an instructor who changed my life. His name is David Steiner. He showed me a Mac Plus desktop computer when he used to make the neatly typed and image-rich overheads for our class. He showed me how to create a database of lengthy comments that he commonly used for student speeches. Before he used the computer for this task, he had to write out each one individually, taking him hours. But with his computer, he saved loads of time and energy grading and preparing lessons. After seeing this little 10-minute demonstration, I was convinced that as soon as I got a teaching job, I would have a personal computer. So in 1989, having landed my first teaching job, I carried my new Mac Classic to and from work daily, as this was still before the advent of notebook computers. 2 years later, I got a new computer, the Mac LC2, which was partly paid for by the new Ultimate Frisbee League that I formed in 1991. In 1995, after landing a teaching job in Boulder Valley, I took a class on HTML and how to make websites. This was another life-changing moment. I made a website during that summer which kept growing until 2002. I had just made a didgeridoo CD called Animal Dreams, so I bought the domain or name animaldreams.net and created a whole palette and theme for the website around the CD design. It included pages about the Ultimate Frisbee League, my music, and school-related stuff that included a weekly calendar. In 2004, I dared to imagine a lofty goal of having every document used in my classes available and downloadable in a constantly updated assignment list, along with an exemplar for the tougher assignments like labs and tests. That goal eventually was met by 2009 by continuously saving everything to my server and scanning the best of everything my students produced. Finally, in 2012, a past student convinced me, after much nagging, that I should upgrade my handmade HTML website to a WordPress theme, which he would make. I got to decide on the font color and how everything worked on the site. It wasn't easy, and I'm still learning WordPress, but I'm thankful that Josh talked me into it. Thank you, Josh. So what is flipping? Flipping gets its name from switching, or flipping our standard conceptual teaching model of lectures at school and practicing those concepts at home. The idea is that if the student is delivered the word at home, then the teacher can be more of a facilitator in the school setting. The practice and work are done in front of the teacher. The concept of flipping lectures began with teachers Jonathan Bergman and Aaron Sams from Woodland Park High School in Colorado. They quickly became widely known in the education community and have traveled the country as guest speakers to educators. This, along with widespread appeal of Khan Academy, has sparked a big change in education, and every one of us has felt the impact of educational videos in some way. At this point, if I may, let me expand this meaning of flipping one single lesson to flipping an entire classroom. I believe that any media that a student can access concerning any part of your class outside of school is a form of flipping. I think that providing your handouts, homework, syllabus, calendar, exemplars, and any relevant media on your website can be just as beneficial to the students as a video of your lecture. Can you relate to how most of us are so wired into the internet? I'd like to advocate for the modern educator taking a step in a forward direction. Create a website, begin using it, then use it more often. The more it becomes commonplace for your students to visit your website with important media that they will benefit from, then the more you are flipping your class. To me, this is the new flipped classroom. Our school, Louisville Middle School, is an example where many of our teachers have already flipped in the sense that much of their class is available to their students after they leave. Now for a few helpful hints. If you're going to set up your own website, you'll have to buy a domain name. You should make it something that's easy for your students to remember. The shorter the better. This way they can just type in the URL from memory. Yourlastname.org, .us, or .biz works great. Mine is my last name, .us. .com was already taken when I looked, and the .com domains are much more expensive. My domain name costs about $2 a year. And speaking of costs, oneandone.com seems to be the cheapest hosting service on the internet. And my cost is about $50 per year, tax deductible. Also, in all the years that I've been with my provider, the website has never gone down. You can also get shirts embroidered with your URL and stamps made so that you can save time filling out forms for people who miss classes. If it's all well explained on your calendar, then a stamp is all you need. This video was made with Camtasia. If you're going to make some video media, I highly recommend this program. For educators, the program is $20 off from the normal $95 price tag. My principal, Adam Fells, paid for my copy. Thanks, Adam. You can see how useful it is for pointing out, illustrating, manipulating sound, pictures, and video. And working with this software is a joy because it's so intuitive. So if you're thinking, where will I find all that time? Just know that yes, it does take a lot of time, but it's front-loading. After I complete a task, it's on my website, so my file cabinet is open to my students and parents. But really the best part is that it's open to me. It's open for my own preparation. Now I'm more on top of my class than ever. In January, I did a lab where 2 strings are dropped off the tallest part of the school to illustrate the concept of acceleration due to gravity, but the wind picked up during the last few classes, so I had to call it off for those classes. So I just marched them all right back inside, and we watched that section of the flip lesson on acceleration, and they got to see it several times. They got it without having to mess up the schedule by redropping them on another day. This is just one example of many of how helpful it is to have this. Now, common practice for my teaching style is showing a flip lesson, then teaching them, then working on it with a lab or doing a project, and they review the flip lesson on their own, and finally they take a test. I see far fewer lost looks, and we're getting a far greater overall achievement level.